got the loan from my mom, bought the machine, and because they didn't have any equipment, so I was basically being subcontracted out by this builder. So I was like, great, I got all this work, at least 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years worth of work lined up.
Wow.
Boom, 2 months later, things fall apart.
Yep.
A month later after that, they go belly up, stop building.
No
now
way.
I'm left with this loan and a machine, and I don't even have a pickup truck to pull it or a trailer. I had an Acura Legend with chrome rims, you know. I was putting wheelbarrows on the roof of this Acura Legend and pipes coming out the windows, you know what I mean? That's how I got, you know, can you imagine the people that when I pull up to their house and they're like, look at this clown, like what are we doing?
This is Grow with the Bros, hosted by Ryan and Ken Parsons, founders of the Brothers That Just Do Gutters. Welcome to another episode of Out of the Gutter, Behind the Brother. We've made every mistake in the book, so you don't have to. Our time to evolve as business owners is now. Let's grow together. All right. You ready? I'm ready.
Born ready, babes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Out of the Gutter. I'm Ryan Parsons, joined here with my brother Ken Parsons, and we're the co-founders of the Brothers That Just Do Gutters. Last week, we tackled the topic of the stay small, keep it all concept, and this week, we are welcoming one of our good friends, Russ Brigante, the owner of Brigante Excavating, to talk more about this topic. How are you, Russ?
I'm doing well. This is awesome. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Hey.
Like ever since we started doing this, I'm like, I can't wait till Russ comes on. So before we get into how you started your business, this is crazy because at some point in the history of me knowing you, I was your Sunday school teacher.
That's right. And I was bigger than you then. I'm still bigger than you now.
That's all right. We wrestled once.
We did. We'll leave that alone.
Okay. All right. So I have a video of Ken wrestling you, but we'll leave that alone. So when...
Only one excavator.
Oh, nice. So let's hop
I can't
right
remember it because I think it happened so quickly. It was over so quickly. It was, you know, it's hard to remember.
That's good. That's good. All right. So when did you get into business and what made you start your own excavator? You were young, right?
Yeah, it was back in 2007, and I was 20 when I got incorporated in 2007. And I picked the best time in history, you know, everything's collapsing and falling apart. It was really, really awesome. So,
but why'd you get it? Like, I mean, why excavation? Were you working for someone?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I applied to a lot of colleges. All of them, you know, I'm no rocket scientist. All the colleges I applied to were basically just to go and party, coastal schools, you know what I mean, things like that. I didn't get into any of them.
What?
So like, yeah, big surprise. So I'm like, all right, well, I don't really want to. I don't want to go to community school. There's nothing really that interests me that I really want to strive for that takes college to get there.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me just, start working a little bit. So I was, the summer after graduation, I had met a guy that I used to know from way back when we were kids. He used to cut my grass. He had got into excavating since the time that we had not seen each other.
Okay.
I had just basically was like, okay, it's a little summer job. I'll be a laborer working for you and make some money and figure it out. I ended up really liking the business. It was really cool. So, but I didn't want to push a shovel my whole life.
Okay.
So basically what I did was I learned. I tried to be as much of a sponge as possible, learn everything, make my lumps and bumps and bruises on someone else's time. And I was just really gung ho. And then after I was getting left on jobs by myself with a laborer, I was kind of doing the whole thing and really not needing too much help after a while. And I thought I knew everything there was to know. So I said, okay, let's rock and roll. I bought a machine and
wow.
Kind of went.
So now, what was that guy's business like? Did he have a big business? Was it
very similar to mine, actually?
Very similar.
Very similar to mine right now. Yep, just an owner operator.
Okay.
Small crew. 2-3 guys total, and just going from house to house and doing jobs. No commercial, nothing crazy, but really solving homeowner problems.
All right. So I can't imagine, as a laborer and then somebody who's leaving alone. I mean, were you making that much money that you were able to just go out and buy equipment, or do you have to get a loan? Or
no, my mom had saved
Mama
some
B?
money. Yeah,
Mama B?
God bless her. So she had given me a loan that she had put some money aside for college for me and my brother. If we need to go to college or whatever. I believe it was from our selling us her selling our house, we grew up in, had some money put aside. So I was like, listen, I want to make this move. I need a loan. I don't have any credit. I was, 19 or 20. And like, I didn't have any, nothing. We were already, me and my brother were living together, had a condo and stuff like that. And so she was willing, and thankfully, was able to do it. Her and now my stepfather Dave, they made a decision. They were like, we'll do it.
I remember that when that happened.
Yeah. Dude, it was so nerve-wracking because everything was falling apart all around me. Like as soon as I bought that machine, I was working for her. So here's the thing. It wasn't just that one guy I worked for. I worked for him, and then, after I learned, I went to, me and him, I guess just stopped getting along. He's a really hard guy to get along with. We're not going to go there. I worked for another company after that. And then that company was doing a subdevelopment in Mayapack. They were just building houses, going from site to site. I would go from house to house, just do the whole site working and keep moving. They went belly up when everything fell apart. I, 2 months prior to that, had bought the machine, got the loan from my mom, bought the machine. And because they didn't have any equipment. So I was basically being subcontracted out by this builder. So I was like, great, I got all this work, at least 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years worth of work lined up.
Wow.
Boom, 2 months later, things fall apart.
Yep.
A month later after that, they go belly up, stop building. Now I'm left with this loan and a machine, and I don't even have a pickup truck to pull it or a trailer. I had an Acura Legend with chrome rims. I was putting wheelbarrows on the roof with this Acura Legend and pipes coming out the windows. You know what I mean? That's how I got. Can you imagine the people that when I pull up to their house and they're like, "Look at this clown! Like, what are we doing?"
That sounds like how Ken and I used to go fishing. Strapping a rowboat to the top of an Altima. We had some Dukes of Hazzard in and out of the windows. Went to a launch dock in Newburgh, and my gosh, it was I know that, and that was how a lot of small businesses start.
Hey, the boat didn't sink though, did it, Russ?
No.
No, that's it.
Good.
That's it.
Wow.
We made it. We got on the water and made it float, right?
Heard the rough seas, and
that's it.
Calm seas never built a skilled sailor. So you got to think of it like that.
And that's what you just described is typically why most people are in and out of business in the same year. They don't have the stomach for it. You had the same adversity that I think most people do. Ken and I, we've talked about it at length in other podcasts. We had adversity that we should have closed our doors. But I think there's something about the people that just continue to just press on and make it happen.
It's a lot of grit. I think it's a lot of faith too. You gotta, it's, that's a big part of it for me personally, just kind of knowing that like God's got my back,
Yeah.
So, and then it does take a lot of a stomach, you know what I mean? Like you gotta know that you're going to take your lumps. I almost quit 4 times, on the phone with my mom. I can't do it. Other friends of mine that were business owners, you guys want to, you know what I mean? Talking to you guys and talking to other friends, and you just stay in, just keep on keeping on, but when you're making pasta, can't afford the sauce, just, you know what I mean? Throw a little butter in there, that's for dinner. It's kind of hard to keep your head straight, but,
oh, that's true, man. No, that's good. That's good.
You got to just dig in.
So that was some of the adversity part in the beginning. So what is it like now? Tell us about what's going on in your life, now.
Day in the life.
What's the difference?
Well, now, there's no advertising, there's no real stress. There's no advertising to get work. It's just kind of word of mouth, and there is no stress. The only stress is like when people give me their stress. Like, if I'm one guy with a crew and we go from job to job to job. And when people have a septic issue, that's stressful for them. So I guess the most stressful part of my life now is like not letting other people's stress make me stressed.
So the emergency services, it's like they want you to drop everything.
Let's go. Yeah. But like other people have been waiting, you know what I mean? They want things done. And if I'm on a job with other contractors waiting for me to get my part finished so they can keep going, so I guess, and that's really not that stressful. I just tell people, listen, this is all I can do.
Yeah.
If you need to go somewhere else, with someone you haven't been referred to, you may not trust, you can go. I don't take offense to that, but if you want it done correctly,
so you lay it on thick. If you want to get robbed, or if you want to have somebody dig up your electrical lines, fine. Just have them go.
Whatever.
I had that happen. I had a guy digging here at my house, and he didn't do the call before you dig. And the electrical there's a telephone pole out front. But there's a big electrical, one of those boxes that sits on the lawn, and that's where the electrical comes in the back on somebody else's property. It comes through the middle of the property, through the backyard, and he pulled the electrical line, dude.
Start like sizzling and popping and everything, or did he?
No, he didn't. He didn't hit it. He didn't pull the electric part, but he just pulled the cylinder that the electrical is in, and pulled it enough. But he actually pulled it. It came out of the meter of where it attaches to the garage a little bit. So they had to shut everything down and come and fix it.
I'm sure Russ has never taken out a whole neighborhood or anything.
Not a neighborhood, but I came close once. You know, that's like the thing, but that wasn't my fault. I actually had a great insurance agent. You guys know Larry Krause, you remember?
Yeah, he's the best.
I took pictures of everything. I did call for a dig safe, and they gave me, this guy I guess couldn't get a tone on where the line was in the ground, and he thought he just put it where it was. And the mark was behind me where the gas line supposedly was. I'm digging over here.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, I'm pulling on something. I'm like, must be a tree root. So I'm like, ding, bing. And then this thing starts hissing, and high pressure main, you're talking to shooting the dirt up. That's how much the gas is coming out of the pipe. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
I start freaking out, shut the machine down, jump off, bang on the house, get out. The whole road was closed down, fire department, the whole thing. You know, and here I am. That was like my first year in business. That happened in my first year in business. It was like,
oh my gosh.
My fourth job on my own, literally. Like I was still like getting my machine towed to these jobs and picked up by somebody else.
My gosh.
So, you know, I had to take all this camera work, you know, and they hit me with bills like $20,000, but then my insurance company was like, yeah, no way, because here's the pictures. It's not this guy's fault. So a locating company had to eat that.
Now, were your vehicles branded at that point? Did you go cover it up real quick while the neighborhood was out?
I maybe couldn't afford branding then.
Oh, that's great. All right. So
speaking of branding, though, what's your tagline again?
I mean, which one? We eat dirt. You know, that's my website. Everybody
I eat dirt for breakfast or something like that. Yeah.
Breakfast.
He loves it. All right. So let's fast forward a little bit. We reconnected, you know, after, I don't remember, you've been in business. We never really lost touch, but you got into BNI, right?
From you.
From me.
Right.
And you joined BNI, and I think things were going pretty well at that point. And I remember clearly, I had my own struggles. Ken and I had our own struggles trying to grow a business. And we were talking one day, and I feel like I can remember it, but my memory's not great. But you basically were like, stay small, keep it all. That's the concept. Yeah. And I remember like looking at, you know, you were doing well, you had money, you were doing things that you can see like you're doing well. And I'm like, it kind of like hit me. I'm like, holy crap, like we're going the complete opposite direction right now. And I'm like, and that kind of, it hits you when you're struggling, you know? So my question to you is, when did you first hear that? And why did that resonate so deeply with you?
Well, there was a couple of guys that I had known in my business, guys that were instrumental to me, teaching me things that, you know, as I was growing, and jobs that would come that was a little too big for me, I would bring these, you know, break the pie apart and let everybody eat a little bit, but I would learn. So guys that were instrumental to me were like, listen, you don't want to get big in this business, you know, and they had made a lot of money doing it too, you know, but when downturns come in the construction, in the excavation industry, more or less, it's, you know, it takes a big toll out on them. So they were like, listen, you know, if you can get the work, and that's the other thing too, like when you have a bigger company and doing bigger jobs, you get one contract, you're good for 2-3 years, maybe, you know what I mean? One spot. I'm on a job 2 or 3 days, and I'm done on to the next. Yeah. So they were like, you know, if you can get the work, stay small, keep it all. Like, you know, there's really no need to get bigger. You can make good money. Yeah. You know, really good money, because the machines, they warrant X amount of dollars a day based on the machine. Yeah. So once those machines are paid off, you know, if you got 2 machines, 3 machines running for the day, you're making a few $1,000s a day. Yeah. Every day. You know what I mean? When they're running. So I had listened to those guys, and you know, even those guys now, they have big businesses, doing big, you know, working at colleges and hospitals, like big businesses. But they said, if I can do it over again, I probably would have stayed small. Wow. All right. You know, they talk about the stresses of machines breaking down, and you got deadlines trying to get done by a certain day, and the machine blows a hydraulic line or something like that. Now this giant machine cannot even move until you get, you know, the parts in and the mechanics there. Like it's not like it's even a car you could hook up and just drag it out of the way. You know, these things are 50, 60, 70, 100,000 pound pieces of equipment.
Wow.
So when they're down, it's like, it's stressful, man.
I hear you. All right. So what about, you know, what things do you feel like you're able to do being smaller that you wouldn't be able to do if you were bigger?
Well, as far as in what?
Just in general, like, you know, like when you're saying, what are your favorite parts about having a small business? What things are you able to do that larger business? Like when you hear like your buddies or whatever is like, oh, I can't do that because of this larger business, or this is so much of a bigger headache. Right. And you're thinking, man, I'm so glad I'm the size I am.
Yeah. So there's two ways I can answer that question. I think a real simple way of describing what I like about it is I like meeting and solving problems with people and having people really be thankful and putting up positive reviews and just sending me Christmas cards, whatever. Just texting me after the next rainstorm, like, thank you, my basement's dry, you know what I mean? Whatever the case is. And so that's really cool. I really enjoy that. It's the personalization and helping people out. But I think that now at this point, I'm a member at a country club. I love to play golf. What I like is like if I wanted to do a job and if there wasn't anybody with an emergency ready to go and I could push somebody, whatever, if I could finagle, I like being able to just do a job 2-3 days and then I got 2 more days and then the weekend to just play golf.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because I run my company very thin as far as my overhead. I didn't buy any equipment that I had to pay off. I just would save up and buy it.
Awesome.
Truck, you know what I mean? Truck, save up and buy them. So there's really
smart.
I have no overhead besides my insurance, really. You know what I mean? And
it sounds like you've got it a little bit more figured out than a lot of small business owners. A lot of small business owners can never take a day off.
They may not have done it smart. They may have just got overzealous and they got some credit and some available credit to them. They start buying things that they don't really they could do without. You can work a little harder. You can rent it. You know what I mean? Get another guy for the day to make up for that machine. But you pay the guy for the day, the job gets done. You don't keep paying for it. You know what I mean?
So would you add to that by saying that somebody that's going to choose to do the path that you've taken, it sounds like to me and knowing you that you've had a lot of personal self-discipline when it comes to, you're saving money and buying machines outright and things of that nature. But I think a lot of people who choose to take their business and stay small do not have that self-discipline. Is that something that you've seen as well? You were talking a little bit about that, just about people spending money and not being frugal the way you've been.
Yeah, it's wild. I see guys that, I know they're up to their eyeballs in debt and they, you know what I mean? They just want the newest truck. They want, they feel, it's like, I don't understand why would you do that? What's wrong with it?
But I wanted jet skis.
Yeah, you start making some money a little bit and then you start just being frivolous with it.
Yeah.
It could just to try to put on this persona that you're successful because you got a new truck and you got new this, new that. But meanwhile, how much debt are you in? What does that cost you a month? I'd rather run older trucks. I've always done that. You know what I mean? As long as they start and they go, and they take their time in the shop every now and then. But you know what? If I have multiple trucks anyway, pickups and dump trucks. So if a pickup goes down, I just hop in the dump truck and go to work.
Yep.
Whatever the case is. But some people it's wild how they I look at them and it just makes me anxiety ridden. How do you do that? How do you sleep at night without a cushion, and you're still renting a house. You're not even saving for everybody's big asset is their home. When you get ahead of your home, you could be your own bank, HELOC loans, everything else. So I'm looking at people who rent their houses and they have truck payments and whatever the case is. And I don't know, man, I've always just been like a squirrel. Just wanted to put the nuts away. I thought that was just better. Having the capital on hand is, for me, helps me sleep at night. You know what I mean? I'd rather do that. I don't need the newest truck.
That's great.
You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me.
And you touch on a really important thing, because I think as young business owners, I used to see that and I didn't know how their finances were. I just assumed they're doing something right and I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, I used to think that too.
I'm literally I'm killing myself. How's this guy got a boat? I'm like, I don't get it. And I know that's not, I don't want to covet. I don't want to be jealous of other people's stuff. But I'm like, man, I feel like we're doing good at business, that we know what we're doing, that we're building something good. And I'm not seeing necessarily the same fruit that you can see that other person driving around in. It was a little discouraging.
Yeah,
they're selling drugs on the side.
But you wonder, you're like, what in the world?
But at the same time, you ask them how much liquor they have, they can't scratch together $5,000.
If they would even tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, these are people that that credit cards almost maxed out. No liquid, this and that, the other thing, but they got a $10,000 watch that they're paying off every month. And they got it just never made sense to me, honestly. I think it's just bad management, and I think it shows a little bit of, and I don't mean to sound harsh, but I think it shows weakness, a character weakness. Like, you really need to try to promote yourself like that for what? Where does that come from?
Yeah.
Where does that? You know what I mean? Why?
Yeah.
Well, who do you have to prove anything to? If you're like, if you know you're doing the right thing, you don't need anybody's approval. You can pull up, you could. And I'm not saying drive clunkers around, because that doesn't look good either going on an appointment.
No.
You know what I mean? But that middle truck, that clunker doesn't look good showing up. That $70,000-$80,000 brand new truck doesn't. People are like, oh my God, this guy might be really expensive.
Although people don't really know how much trucks cost.
No.
So you can show up in like a $90,000 pickup or a $10,000 Mercedes, and the guy who shows up in the Mercedes, they're gonna think he's too expensive.
Yeah. So, but I think that has a lot to do too. When you're trying to close a deal, I think that your persona does mean something. You don't want to be Joe Schmo, shoemaker, but you don't want to be Mr. Pristine, only doing high-end prices and jobs.
Yeah.
I think that makes people want to be able to relate and level with you. Like, okay, this is just a good, hardworking guy, young man who just wants to. Who's recommended to me. I feel comfortable with him. He's talkative.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
then you just keep the Maserati at home. That's it. Yes, very easy on the eyes.
So when you started your business, Russ, did you think, that back when you started, that you'd have the success and where you're at right now? Did you see that back then? Or did you just kind of one foot in front of the other, and finally you ended up being where you're at right now?
Ken, that's a good question. I think it'd be a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I think that I always kind of knew the lifestyle I wanted, the things I wanted to do and accomplish in my life, but I also knew that it ain't going to be easy. You know what I mean? So I guess you could say I knew the lifestyle I wanted. I knew that I didn't want to struggle with money. We grew up struggling with money in my house, so I knew I didn't want that. And I feel like excavating is something that interests me. It was awesome, new every day. I can't do things that are repetitive. That gets boring to me really fast. But I knew that the potential for income could be really big based on when you hear what the machines grab a day.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, okay, if I pay this off and it gets this much day, all I got to do is get to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, so for me, I'm like very very black and white. There's no gray. It's like, okay, get the numbers down and then go. So I don't have the stomach for what you guys do, but I mean, there's no way I can ever duplicate on my own what you guys are doing by expanding and getting to the point where you are. But I think, now that we're talking about it, I think that in between me and you is a problem. Is a problem. I think that and this is just me, I could be speaking incorrectly, but I think that in between my business and your business is a problem, because you guys have to be able to get where you guys want to be, right? To financially be free and do what you always dreamed of doing, you have to get really big, right? And I don't think a lot of people have the knowledge that you guys do and have done the trials and failed and found out what did work to get there. They can't stick and move like that, and that's death zone in the middle.
It is. There is Death Valley.
Yeah,
is what it's been described.
I don't think it's. It's interesting that you said though that in the beginning, a lot of the things that you took away from when you started your business, you had people in your life, other guys in the business that took you under their wing, that you were able to get, an idea of how to run and start your business and along the way. So, you've been able to apply those principles and be successful. And whether it's a business, the way that you're operating a business, or the way that Ryan and I operate a business, I think that's the key right there, right? When you say that if you're going to go into business, doesn't matter what your plan is, short term or long term for the business, but you need to find somebody that's doing business the way that you would like to do business and is actually successful at that model.
So kind of find you were 19 years old. Find the guy that's 50 or 60 that you identify with and that's still doing it or has the business model, and you can pretty much fast forward it. Like that's what's really sometimes concerning, depending on who you look at, and sometimes motivating. You see the person with the bigger business or the smaller business, but has done everything they've wanted to. I like that. I think finding a mentor that kind of aligns with how you want to do things, and then they can help take years off your thing. But with that said, you started at 19. That's crazy. So you obviously at 19, you're indestructible. You're still, what are you, 34? 34, you're still indestructible.
Still young guy.
But the time goes, like, so I think even for Kenny and I, when we started, like, you don't think about retirement, it's so far away. All that kind of stuff is so far away. But now from 19 to 34, when you fast forward in your head to 50 or 60, what do you want this business to look like? Or what is your strategy or exit strategy or sales strategy? What are you thinking?
Well, you know, I do see myself with you know, having a kid one day, right? And if God wants to bless me with a son, that'd be awesome. I would love to bring him in.
Triplet girls.
Yeah.
Hey, girls can run heavy equipment too, man.
They can indeed. You know, I would like to be able to have you know someone under me, you know, to pass off this knowledge and the business too. And if that doesn't happen, that's okay, because I listened to some more people a long while back, many years ago, probably in my early 20s, you know, mid 20s, when I was able to actually have a little bit of was loose income, I guess you could say.
Disposable income.
A little bit of it, you know, and I knew that math works, right? Listening to people who are where you want to be works. So if you take some simple math, compounding interest, and you listen to people who are where you want, they'll tell you, start putting away for your retirement early and a lot, because that compounding just makes things easier down the road. So I've been doing that for a while now, you know, setting up for retirement. So like, if, you know, my business isn't worth anything but the equipment that I own and maybe my phone number, if it, you know, if it's not going to be worth this, you know, big sum of money, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Because I was doing what was needed to be done on the, you know, on the side, you know what I mean? And putting away for retirement and making some smart investments and, you know, trying to do things like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are ways to be a small business owner and get out.
Yeah.
If you just be smart about it, you know, but like, I'm never going to have, I don't think, you know, unless I have a change of heart where my business is going to go, I'm not going to have something where I can be like, all right, well, I'm Ryan and Ken, and we're 100% owners of Brothers of Gutters, give us millions of dollars. You know, it's never going to be in my deck of cards. You know what I mean? So I had to do it other ways, but it's possible. You know, you just have to be disciplined. Again, squirrel your nuts away. You know what I mean? You have to be disciplined in what you do.
So what I've gathered is you've done kind of the opposite of what you've seen. Money can be great in a trade, especially owner operator. But what you've been disciplined is to be putting it away for retirement, your future, you're paying for things for cash, where a lot of other business owners, when they're staying small, keeping it all, they're literally not even keeping it. They're just spending it all.
Oh my God.
I got 10 grand today, let's go. And they go and do something stupid,
go to casino,
you know, and then they're poor the next week. So you're funding your retirement, you're kind of, you have an idea that if by the time you turn 50 or 60 or whenever you want to stop, if your business is not worth anything but the equipment, you're fine, because you've been setting yourself up through other avenues. And I know we're not going to get into it today. You're an entrepreneur. You've flipped houses before. You've done lots of stuff. You know how to make money. You can sniff a good deal.
Right.
You know, so there's a lot more also that you have to offer.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all economically driven too. Like, you know, there will be a downturn to an economy. There will be another upswing again. You know, it's cyclical, you know. But, you know, it's another thing too. You're older, you know, you can just, you know, flip homes and just, if you know what you're doing, you just hire the right trades, get good prices. You can make money just by, you know, flipping homes, you know, not really breaking your back at all. Mm-hmm. Just subbing it out smart, buying something for cash, getting a good deal on it, maybe going direct to the owner, cut the realtor out, you know, doing some things like that. And so, you know, I don't think I'm too concerned. You know, I'm not going to leverage my house for anything. You know what I mean? I want to pay my house off soon. You know, we got equity in it now, and I'd like to just continue adding to that. So, you know, if I ever need money, I could use my house as a bank and then just pay myself, you know, whatever the case is.
That's great.
There's avenues to go. But there's also, you know, we're going to get to it. There's also the things that are troublesome that I do think about and worrisome, and then downsides to this business.
Yeah.
And this business model.
So that'll be the next question. But before we go right there, have you ever considered scaling it? Thought about, should I grow,
Yes.
and what happened? Tell us through that process.
I got scared.
You got scared. So tell me, like, all right, should I grow? I think you even called me one time. Tell me why I should scale.
I've called you like 4 times. Every time I've considered this, once every 2 years. You know, like we'll go have a couple beers about it, and then I'll leave that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. You know, I just don't want to do it. You know, it's just it would be a lot more work. You know, it's just a lot more work. You got the two of you have 2 guys, the brothers that. You know, I think you guys are very opposite in a lot of ways, but that's really good for your business. You know, there's Ken's got strengths that are, you know, his strengths, and Ryan has his, and you guys together wouldn't do as well the other person's shoes.
No.
So
It's like you and Tommy.
100%. You know,
Should have joined forces.
Yeah.
There you go. You don't have to change the name or nothing. It's already there.
Oh, we're good.
So what happens in your mind, like when you're about to pick up the phone and say, Ryan, why should I scale or why shouldn't I? What's happening? What are you thinking, and what makes you want to?
I'm turning down work.
Because you're turning down work.
I'm turning down work. I'm like,
losing
wow,
opportunity.
Yeah, that's a money job. It's a 2-day job. I can make a few $1,000s, but I can't get there for a month and a half. And then I lose the job. So I'm like, dang, this really stinks. You know, like I'm just leaving money out on the street. Now somebody else is going to make that. You know, that was my job. You know, they called me recommended.
So it was pretty much guaranteed job
every time. As long as I'm not a pig when I go price it out, you know what I mean? That's it. You know, it's my job. I close a very high % of my appointments.
So then what happens? You said the math tells a story earlier or something like that. Is that when you start thinking, all right, this is much for a machine. Now I got to hire a guy. Like what makes you say, forget it?
Workman's comp, New York State. Nightmare.
Yep.
Nightmare. You know, if somebody gets hurt and you're not prepared, you're trying to fly by the seat of your pants, you're getting hosed, man.
Yeah.
Say goodnight.
Why you need to relocate?
Yeah.
You know what? I could dig a post hole. I could dig 4 feet in the ground with a post hole digger faster than anybody you've ever seen here in Texas.
It's like a beach. It's sand.
He saw me do it. I literally dug 4 feet deep with a post hole digger in less than 10 seconds.
A fencing company out there.
Yes, we should.
I'll be honest with you. It's funny we talked about fencing. If I could do it over again, I probably might think about scale. Like, so knowing what I know now, right?
Yeah.
A fence company would be an awesome company to scale.
Yeah.
Because all the material gets delivered to the site.
Yep.
You need a pickup truck and 3 guys.
That's it.
You know, and there's big margins in fences.
Really nice.
That would be a good business that I think I'd be interested in scaling.
Well, I'll let you know, because maybe we'll do it someday.
Brothers that just do fences.
It has such a ring to it, right?
It does. I like it.
All right, I'll come down to Texas, Ken, if you promise me you can open up a franchise in Brothers That Just Do Fences.
Let's do it. I'm in.
That's an entrepreneur spirit right there.
Always.
Let's go.
His answer is always, let's do it. And mine's like, holy crap, can we just finish the one thing?
Yeah.
So somehow we meet in the middle.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's why you guys are so successful, man. I mean, I came here at this new facility, first time coming here. This place is sick.
Thanks.
13,000 square feet. You got call centers, you know, meeting rooms, a pool table. You guys got your ugly mugs on the cornhole boards.
It's pretty cool.
You can throw beanbags at our faces.
It's awesome.
And I'm not even there. I'm not even there, Russ.
You should be though. Well, you're here in spirit though.
Yes,
true.
Definitely.
So let's just talk about, like, I know we focused a lot on the on the stay small, keep it all. Let's talk about some of the negatives and positives for either keeping it small and let's focus on some of the negatives and positives for scaling.
Okay, so I'll tell you about the negatives first about keep staying small. If I don't go to work, I don't make any money really. You know, there's a few jobs here and there where I could just, you know, send my 2 guys and just go. But that's really doesn't happen that often. You know, a lot of it's just I need to be there. If I get hurt, that's worrisome for me.
Yeah.
You know, there's nobody that's going to replace me really. At least that I can see.
You better be careful out on the golf course, man. It could be dangerous.
Gotta watch yourself out there. Balls flying all over the place. But no, I mean, you know, I think about that all the time. If I'm hurt, if I go down, it's a big problem. You know, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
How do you how have you navigated? Because this is another thing that I find is a big can be an issue. How do you keep people motivated that are working for you? Do you find that it's a high turnover rate? Over the years, you've been through probably a lot of guys. I know Ryan and I have in our model too. Tell us a little bit about how that is.
So yeah, so I've had the same guy who's been with me 13 years.
That's amazing.
Wow.
You know, we actually worked for that builder I was telling you about. He came here, couldn't speak a lick of English, and we were both working for them. As soon as they went out, you know, he was working with me. So ever since that, you know, he's been awesome. You know, I think that you know, there's a little bit of bumps along the way. You know, you gotta treat people well. You know, you gotta take care of them. You know, so I try to do the best I can. Give them 2 weeks pay for Christmas. You know, if the job's, you know, a little harder than it should be, you know, something's you know, you got to do something a little hard. I slip them a little something at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Just thank you for working hard today.
That's
you know,
great.
so I do things like that. All from lunch, coffee, you know, whatever. So I haven't really had a lot of high turnover, I guess. And I have friends of mine that are teachers. They're off in the summertime, so they're like, oh, can I work? So you know, and that's repetitive every year. You know, so my turnover is not that crazy. You know, it's really. I've been blessed in that situation. I haven't had to worry about.
What's that guy's name that works for you for 13 years?
Call him Cheech.
Cheech and Chong.
Maybe I was just wondering. Maybe he might be good at hanging some gutter.
So I think you touched on basically the reasons why I think we started to scale. Was Ken got hurt, fell off a ladder, scared the crap out of him. Having me come in and just as a helper, and when I wanted more, I'm like, I'm not going to stick around to be Ken's helper. You know, are there more opportunity here? And I think they kind of forced Ken to say, yeah, like, let's think about it. So I think kind of like what you said, there wasn't a plan. It wasn't like, it was like things just started to happen and expand. And to your point earlier, when you start doing the math, you pretty much have to triple the size of your business in most scenarios
to get out of Death Valley.
So if you're the guy doing let's just make up a number. Let's say your business does $300,000 a year and you make what you make and you're comfortable with whatever. You need to do $900,000 a year with other people doing the work for you to make what you used to make at 3.
Right.
Give or take. That's what I've seen, whether it's plumbing, gutters, carpentry, remodeling, excavation. And I think that's what's the scariest part. And that we talk about a lot is if you go from 1 to 2 excavators and a bunch of guys, you might be going, holy cow, I used to make more money by myself.
Right.
And people quickly go right back. They're like, forget it. It was a nightmare. That truck broke. This guy didn't show up. All of a sudden I forget it. I'm going back.
Yeah.
It's if you take too long to get to that triple the size, I think that's where most people, you know, pull out and just are like this.
You get beat down. You know?
Oh,
well, there's a lot of structure and things that you need in the business to keep those people accountable, so that you know machines aren't breaking down because people aren't checking the oil or you know doing certain things the right way, or if they weren't trained properly and they broke something or messed somebody's yard up. You know, there's a super huge amounts of accountability through training that has to occur in order to get that business. And you know, if somebody's looking to scale and they're not putting together a budget from going to wherever they're at to $1 million and beyond in that first year of doing it, they're going to have a hell of a time of getting there, because that's really when business starts. When you're scaling a business, because at $1 million, you can afford to hire competent people in leadership that are not going to screw up your machinery or your houses that you're working on and stuff like that. You can't do it with the same organizational structure that you have that way. So that's why there's such a chasm in between.
Yeah. And those are the negatives on scaling, like hiring, things not done right. As soon as Ken was off a truck, all of a sudden, like the guys that were fine, now all of a sudden they go out without Ken, and it's like the builder's calling up like, dude, I don't know what happened here, but this gutter's like, and it's like, what? And then all of a sudden, like,
or like, looks good for my house.
Yeah.
They don't buy eye construction.
Buy eye.
Yeah.
Oh my Gosh. And going back to square one over and over, I can't tell you how many times Ken was off a truck, back on a truck. It's very tough. We talked about it earlier. The way to get around that is having good mentors, hiring the right people, marketing. Like you wear all the hats now, but it's pretty much word of mouth. You're not figuring out Google AdWords. You're not, having a big marketing company. I mean, you've done some stuff with the Renegades back in the day. You'll dabble. Like someone calls you up, you're like, fine, I'll put it. What is it, $300 a month? Fine.
Yeah, sponsor a golf hole here or there, whatever the case is. But I think I think the type of business also makes scaling a lot easier versus something that's a lot harder to scale. We could take our two businesses, for instance, right? The gutter game there's really not too many different variations of things you're gonna see, right? Mm-hmm. Houses are all pretty much built kind of the same. There'll be different gable ends and valleys and things you're gonna have to, but most of the time there's not too much variation in what you need to do and how to do it, how to hang a gutter. Right? Is that fair to say? There's not too many different things you're gonna see.
90% of the time they're pretty straightforward, and you get the crazy stuff.
Right, then you got your 10% of stuff like that. So and then in my business, it's you got things that were done 100 years ago in the ground. You don't know what's going on. There's the Hudson Valley has got every different soil type you could ever ask for because of the glacier movements and everything else. So there's sand, silt, loam, bank run, clay, rock, topsoil. You know what I mean? You got everything. So
everything is more simpler here in Texas. I don't know why everybody doesn't move here. I really don't.
It'll be in Texas.
I know, but you need to know your stuff to do things right, because you could do an application in my business here and it worked beautifully at this person's house, but you do the same application with different soil types over here, it ain't gonna work.
So your problem solving is just always.
It's on the fly. You never know what the problem is. Sometimes you got to go through, I've had people call me and just say, listen, I've had 3 guys come over and none of them can figure it out. What's the problem? And I would just go do my due diligence, ask questions and knock things off the list. And then we figure out what the problem is, but you need to, the problem solving aspect is huge because a lot of things you can't see. You got to figure out where's this water coming from or why is this happening, it's a lot to figure out there. The soil types is another thing. I mean, it's
so
just,
is radon real?
I mean, they say it is. I mean, you can smell it, right? So
I mean, come on. If radon's real, me and Ryan spent like the better part of our lives growing up down in a dungeon of a basement playing with G.I. Joes and blocks that my dad made from scrap wood. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I just had to ask.
A lot about my brother.
The truth is, I was doing a sump pump the other day, a couple weeks ago, and we cut the hole in the cement floor and we started digging, and boy, was that gas smell strong.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, that was the first time I was like, wow, I'm kind of a believer now because, I built a bunch of houses, I'm in the ground all the time. But let me tell you, when you come across a spot that's got a lot of radon, man, you can smell it.
All right. I guess it's there.
It's there.
Man. All right. So I think we covered like everything. We talked about some of the benefits, Let's recap. What are some of the biggest benefits you think to
your freedom to come and go as you please? No one telling you what to do. Being the master of your own destiny. Your scheduling. How much money you want to make this week? How much you don't want to make this week? I got to do something with the wife. I can go do it. I don't have to ask permission. No matter. If something's wrong with my dog needs to go to the vet. All right, I'll take the dog to the vet. Just do what I got to do. It's not like having to worry. Can I take off? Do it the days I got sick? Do I have to take a sick day? Things like that. That's the benefit of it. And just kind of waking up and just being like, I do what I want every single day.
Let's do a podcast at 11 a.m. on a Monday. Why not?
Why not? It's like, so that's the cool part, man. And the bad part, it's got to be the if I don't go to work, if I get hurt, making money is tough, and then I'd have to start doing other, I'd have to change avenues. If I was like, say if I was seriously hurt, right, I'd have to change avenues. I'd probably, get more into the housing game building, I'd put up a house or two or flip something, I'd get back into that way until I was healed up. But that's gotta be the worst part of it, is that is the risk of getting hurt. I pay my health insurance, and all that, but what good does it do if you can't do nothing,
Right.
True.
One thing you said earlier, I think that it also takes a lot of self-discipline. If you're booking out a month and a half, that there's certain opportunity loss. I think there's a lot of people out there who are self-employed. They just say yes to everything, and then they just let it, and it really damages their reputation because they'll tell people, yes, I can get to it. And, Meanwhile, they don't show up to the estimate when they say they're going to go. And then it's like, like I've experienced that just mystery shopping all across the country with other companies that are in the gutter business. And people tell me, I'll get reports back saying, man, this guy said he was going to come out, and he came out like 2 weeks later, and he just showed up. He didn't even call me. He didn't text me, nothing. How do you deal with that as a small business owner? Do you just tell clients, this is what it is. I'm sorry, but I'm booked out a month and a half. If you want to wait that long, like, how do you deal with that, with opportunity loss?
So with that being said, I have a lot of people that say, you're the only guy who came on time. You answer your phone. We're gonna hire you. You were a couple bucks more than this guy, but we're gonna go with you because you make us feel more comfortable. Let me tell you how much I hear that, dude. The amount of people who are such bad administrators and business owners is off the charts. I can't even believe some people stay in business.
Yep.
It's fascinating to me how you
it is fascinating.
A screwball in that department. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And stay afloat. You know what I mean? But that's another conversation. But dealing with that other stuff, I just tell them, I say, listen, I'm a month and a half out. I can put you on the schedule. Let's call me, text me in a month and say, Russ, how we looking? Because I got, I just put, if someone gives me okay, we want to use you, you go on my schedule book. And I just kind of go down the list and cross the name off.
Keep it simple.
So I say, just call me in a month, because I can't, if there's a week of rain, dude, now you're a month and a half is almost 2 months now. You know what I mean? So the rain makes a factor. Jobs taking a day longer than I thought it takes a factor. A day shorter than I thought. I get there a little quicker, whatever. I could take a 1 day job that was a month and a half out, boogie him into that Wednesday because I got done Monday and Tuesday, and still keep my Thursday.
Still golf on the weekend.
And still golf on Friday and Saturday and Sunday.
Nice.
So yeah, I think it's just, if you're upfront with people, and when you call, when they call, you answer. It's just being upfront and communicating well, I think, is the biggest thing. Like if you answer your phone or answer your text within, I'm not saying right away drop what you're doing, answer your phone all the time, but dude, don't let it go the next day. Like when I get home, I'll sit in the driveway, shut the truck off, and just go through my voicemails and text for the day.
That's awesome.
Just because before I even go inside, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get undressed, take a shower, eat, hang out with my wife. I don't want to do business then. I'm still working. I'm in my work clothes. I didn't get out of my truck. I'm not in the house yet. So like that's my time to kind of go through things. And I just do what I got to do and just make sure that's done. It's very simple. It's a very simple thing. But if you're just diligent with simple tactics and implementing simple ways of getting things done, I don't have a big computer set up like this with keeping my point. Dude, I have a notepad. You know what I mean?
That's all you need.
Unless you lose it. Yeah, I'm in the wrong truck. Damn, I left it on the truck. You know what I mean? They call my wife, hey, go in the truck with my notepad. What address am I going to tonight?
They make these things now. I forget what they're called. Smartphones.
Yeah,
they have lists.
I've been using that. I've been trying to do that. Yeah. So.
That's great.
Can be dealing with that is and like I said, and I'll do things like, okay, I'm not a fool, I'm not prideful, where I'm like, oh, I gotta go for every weekend. Like, dude, if there's a good paying job that somebody's like, I can't wait, all right, I'll work a Saturday. You know what I mean? I'll go put in a weekend work. There's money out there. I'm gonna try to eat it.
That's it.
But I try to, if it's not an emergency job, I'll just hopefully just tell people wait in line. I'll get to you and go from there. But yeah, back to what you said before, it's just wild to me.
Yeah,
wild how bad people are with the
basics. Yeah. That's all they need to do is the basics.
That's it.
It blows our mind that to this day, wow, you're the only one that showed up. I'm like, wow, that's all we still have to do. Like I would have thought like it'd be harder by now to to impress customers, but that's still one of the number one things.
Yeah.
So awesome. I mean, so right before we started, you're kind of grilling me a little bit. So I don't know if we want to try and flip the script. If this doesn't work, we can cut it out. But I mean, what questions are you like asking me stuff?
Well, I mean, it's just to come into this building that you guys had retrofitted for yourselves. That was an empty warehouse, and I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, this takes a lot of doing. You have to be. You got to be able to do a lot as an owner, but B, you got to be able to let things go and let other people handle things. That's hard to do as an owner. Yeah. So for me, I'm like, I like things to be done my way, and my way or the highway, get out of my face. You guys are like, you're just conquering a lot because you hire good guys. You've had employees that I've seen here for years and years and years. And so, and that makes it a lot easier. You're like, and you told me today, you're like, yeah, I don't know. I don't do anything anymore. That's not what I said. I know you do your job right now, but your job is not to sit there and and hang gutter and things like. Your job is to make your guys' lives easier. That's what Ken and my job is to, put in, implement solutions to make everybody's life easier, safer, more profitable.
Yep.
And that's really cool. But I just don't know how you guys, had the stomach, man.
Well, you've seen it. You saw the arc. You've seen it from our crappy shops. You've seen, when I'm kind of you up on. I needed some excavating done
at our mom's house. The old barn where it all started.
The third floor. You used to rent at your mother's house.
I still can't believe you only paid her $100 a month. That's
I
nice
know.
stuff.
It's amazing.
And I had to pay $500 a month.
Maybe she liked me more than you.
Of course.
No, but you know what? It's really cool, man. And you're right. I have been seeing you guys grow the whole time, and I remember like talking to you guys and you guys saying, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be awesome. And in the back of my head, I'm like, but how?
Yeah.
How is that possible? Is that really gonna happen? Is Ryan just shooting his mouth off as some dreamer? You know what I mean? But you guys really dug in, and it's super impressive. Like, and networking has a lot to do with it too. When I came to you guys in the beginning of my business, and I was, and I was like really struggling this and that, and we were, both of us weren't really doing all that well in the beginning.
No, it was like 2007, 8. We were all scraping the bottom.
But you told me to join BNI. So let's talk about that, the importance of networking. I think that there is something to be said for that.
Yeah.
I think that you can't do it on your own. You need a support system. You need to build relationships, with people that will feed you work, and directly down the line from you. So the networking part of it was really cool because I have relationships from BNI. I haven't been in years, 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years. I haven't been in that thing.
Same.
Whatever it is. And I still have relationships from those business owners who still give me work. And, we're all obligated to each other to do the right thing and do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. What does that lead to? It leads to becoming a Chamber of Commerce 40 under 40, which is cool. I was like one of the youngest guys, 28 years old when I got that. Was really cool.
We were like 26, but anyway.
No, you were not.
I wish I could remember things because I don't remember.
That was cool, and that kind of what that does, that provides validity. You know what I mean? So now at that point, I'm like, okay, listen, like this is not just fly by the seat of your pants, Russell. Now it's like, I'm a legit competitor in this market. I'm being told I'm getting bids from companies who have bidded also, and I'm like, wow, I'm bidding on the same jobs as these guys, and that's mine now. And I've lost jobs to guys like that because somebody did want to go with a bigger, more reputable company, not more reputable, bigger
scale.
You know what I mean? Somebody they felt was, maybe they had gotten burned from another small guy back in the past, and that left a sour taste.
Well, I'll tell you what happens there is we get a lot of condo complexes because I can send 10 trucks and do it in 4 days rather than an owner operator that might have to do it for a month or 6 or 8 weeks. Right. So sometimes it's nothing against the smaller guy. It's not even a reputation or anything like that. It's sometimes just like, well,
it's a capacity thing a lot of times. The capacity
of pay for that.
Oh yeah, they're gonna pay.
Because it is what it is, nature of the beast. You guys can't turn a profit, being where an owner operator is, but the owner operator can't do what you guys can do. So it's like,
there's like a trade, and that Death Valley makes it tough when you're trying to bring your pricing up and you're trying to do these other things, but you might not look that much different than the other guy yet.
And it was really cool. I remember you guys telling me, Ryan, we sat down, we're having beers, and you go, builders, I don't like working for them that much anymore. This guy doesn't want to hire me. I don't care. And that attitude, I was like, how do you not care? How do you, on me and my small business mind, I'm like, how do you not care? How do you not want these builders calling you back? But the truth is, you don't do too well from those guys. They're looking for cheap.
Nope. And those are the guys that drag you out for 6 months. They get you all busy. Your machine's tied up. And if they're not paying you, then you and that's, I think, where the scale thing came in. I would agree with those builders early on, like, you don't want to get too big because if the market tanks, you're screwed. But only if you're so entrenched in new construction. The homeowner market's way more predictable, but that takes a lot more marketing.
Right.
You just need one big job, to keep you busy for months.
Yeah.
But that's what kind of screwed us. That's why we didn't care after a while. It's like, oh, I got like 12 houses. I'm like, okay, now what?
Right.
Like, well, I got a guy doing it for X amount per foot. I'm like, we'll keep having him do it.
Right.
Keep him busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were saying, like, a lot of times there's a good amount of people who don't price shop, who just want it done right, and they want a good, reputable company to come.
Yeah.
But when they say do it right, be clean, neat, courteous, so, and there's, those are the good jobs. Those are the jobs you want. It's a real, conundrum when you think about business as a whole, like how many different directions you can go, the customers you want, this, that, the other thing, even like we're talking about two completely different businesses, two completely different sizes, but then there's also other businesses that you can like maybe be in the middle of that, like maybe it would be scalable, not as, maybe as big as Gutters could be, but maybe not as small, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
some people end up wearing the sales hat for the rest of their career, where they get one or two crews going. They're not the guy on it anymore, so they do the sales and management side of it.
Right.
So yeah, there are a lot of different stages to business, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think most of us kind of want to see like what it can be when it grows up. Right. I think that sometimes the only reason to grow is just seeing what if you can.
Let me ask you guys a question. What do you view business as? Like, and what I mean by that is like I view business as an art.
Mm-hmm.
I think every bit of it is an art. How you kind of go about it. You got to be tactful. You got to be, tough where you need to be. You need to be lean. You know what I mean? I think of it as like a dance, like an art. Like, how do you guys view your business?
I think it's both art and science for us. There's a science to it, but which is, the systems and all the things that you put in there together. And then there's the art of it too. And the art of it really can translate into the people that are part of that, the culture, maybe even some of the products and services and the things that you can do that maybe a lot of other companies can't do out there as far as skill wise. But there's definitely both an art and a science, I think, to what we're doing. And I think there's art and science in all businesses, even on a small scale or a large scale or anything in between. I think there is that aspect of both, because it does, in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith says to the guy in the Ferrari, what do you do and how do you do it? When he pulls up in the Ferrari and the guy gets out and he's busy and going on to work and he looks at him, he says, well, and he gives him two things. You have to be good with people and you have to be good with numbers, and that's an art and science that no matter what level your business is at. And then, the rest is history. At the end of the movie, Will Smith applied those two little nuggets that he got from that guy. And he, that character changed his life course on that.
So touching what you said, good with people, right? That's super important. You can't just be, no personality when you go on an appointment or whatever. Even so, and I actually asked Ryan this off camera before about your guys' relationships with your employees. Now that's something we could touch on, right? Because
sure,
I don't have to worry about that with my set situation. Me and my guy, we're in the truck together every day. We hang out, whatever it is. You guys are different. But I've seen the way Ryan comes in and he talks to the guys. But the thing is, do you try to find yourself not trying to get too close and friendly with your guys? Is that going to be a conflict of interest, or do you think that's better to get close and build the relationship with your crew and maybe, go out for after hours beers or, whatever, have them over for barbecues?
Yeah, I think that has to do with culture. You're talking about culture right there. And I think that, your team is only going to be as good as the leadership that's in place. Culture is something that is cascades down from leadership period in any business. And if the leadership doesn't have those kinds of qualities that are going to attract great people to come and work for you, then it's probably a good idea to maybe not work in your own business, because really, you really have to treat people. And that's a big part of our program, right? Our big part of our program is educating our staff, creating opportunities for others. And I think when people get to know Ryan and I, they really see that that's the real deal. It's just not something that we say, but it's something that we live. And I think that's why we have such great people working at Brothers Gutters and such great franchisees that are joining us all across the country, is because they see that we're constantly learning. I mean, we've been in business for 21 years, but Ryan and I are still investing in ourselves. We're still reading books and listening to books and going to seminars and trying to innovate and make things better And we are, because there's guys that have been in this with us for 6 years, 10 years in this business, and they're seeing new guys that know nothing about gutters, and they're turning around $1 million businesses with multiple trucks in their first full year of business. So they're seeing the fruit on the tree. And I think that's super important. Whatever you're doing in life, is that, you know, you got to treat people like people. And unfortunately,
and I'll just add that, and I'll add to that, everyone says business is business and personal, like business and personal, keep them separate. In 20 plus years in business, I've never been able to. Business is personal. So if my business is not doing well, my people are not going to be doing so great. Same thing. If their personal life's not going well, they're not going to be doing great in my business. Right. So it makes the most sense. And this is something I learned, and it wasn't that long ago. Like, people are like, oh, this is my family. It's like, you know, this is my team. You know, if you've ever been on a team, you do everything together, you know, but sometimes people don't make the cut. Sometimes I could love somebody and I think they're the greatest person. This happened to us last year. We had to let someone go that we really loved. They just weren't good at the role that we hired them for, you know, but this is somebody I would like to go out with, that we could still hang out, we talk, but they just weren't working on the team. So I think you want to have that relationship. You want to open up and be who you are. I don't believe in like these walls, and I might not be as connected with the installers as I used to, but I'm very connected with the managers and the other people that are in the building most of the day.
Connected to their guys,
and they're connected, and we're teaching them how to, and we do a lot of stuff like First Friday. You showed up on we tried to get some work done today, but the snow wasn't great. So he saw a bunch of the guys playing
pool. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. You know? So they're just hanging out, playing some pool. Hopefully they clocked out. But yeah, it does change. It changes, but you're always going to be in relationship. But it changes. Scale definitely changes it. But I feel like we're able to do more for employees ever than when Ken and I were going out on trucks. We weren't even able to pay guys well.
Right.
At that point. I mean, they just stuck around because they liked us and they wanted to do it. But
pay scale makes a big difference for performance, I believe. You know, you can't pay somebody, you know, a subpar wage and expect above par work. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think, you know, guys are going to perform how they feel they're being compensated, you know. So it's like, okay, you know, and I had that problem with my guy, you know, I was still trying to keep him, you know, at a rate where I wanted to be, you know what I mean? And I really got to realize that this guy works really hard for me every day. You know what I mean? And you know, I could tell the frustration was setting in, especially after the harder, longer, hot days and stuff like that. But we got, you know, talking about, what do you need? What will make you happy? And when I thought about it, like, you know, for me, it's like, it ain't gonna kill me to make him happy. You know, it really is not gonna affect my life at all.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I want to keep him happy? You know what I mean? And I tell you, once I got him up to where he is now, like, he is so much happier. You can just tell he's not having to go out and, like, you know, work on the weekends just to make ends meet. You know what I mean? And things like that. Like, he's able to just live and enjoy himself. Great. And I think that's, you know,
that's awesome.
Makes a big deal. It's a big difference, you know?
Yeah. So this was awesome. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. We covered a lot of ground. So I think we talked about the benefits, the positives, the negatives, the trials, everything that I feel like unpacked today. We could easily, if we had to make a case, we could make a case for staying small. We can make a case for scaling. But I think what we really did uncover is, like, it's got to be right for you. Right. You know, your business model needs to be right for you. If you want more, if you want, you know, different lifestyle things and they're not happening, then yeah, go figure out how to get your business to whatever point that I think suits the lifestyle you want.
Right.
Right. So any last thoughts before we end from Ken or Russ?
You know, no, I just want to thank you guys for having me. This was a lot of fun. I'd love to come back and do it again.
Yes.
We could talk about other cool stuff. Yeah, just to touch real quick, one last thing, like you said, like, you know, I think a lot of that has to do with the business itself and the type of business, you know, as far as feasibility of scalability, if you will. But for me personally, that it just Staying small, keeping it all. You guys are obviously.
We should do like that guy.
You guys are going to the moon.
You know, stay small, keep it all, change my mind. We should do like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's great. No, I appreciate it. It was really fun to have you.
Yeah,
for real.
Is it time for lunch?
It is time for lunch. Well, thank you,
Nice.
everyone who was listening. Hope you got some good nuggets today, and we'll see you on the next Grow with the Bros. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you implement at least 1 or 2 nuggets from this episode that will give you the confidence to grow. Subscribe to our podcast to stay updated and grow with the bros.